So recently I've been thinking about what my favorite manga of all time is. Like just like sort of like my top three manga. And I feel like in order for something to be in my top three, it has to meet a couple like qualifications, right? It has to have a good story, good characters, it has to have great artwork, and most importantly, it has to be fun to reread. Because me personally, I read manga a lot, and I reread my like those same mangas just a ton. Like I reread Soldier a ton, and it's because it's one of those like manga just got me into anime and manga in general, and it holds like a very special place in my heart personally. I wouldn't put it in my top three, unfortunately, just because there are series I like more than it. Even as much as I talk about this one, there are series I like more than Soul Eater, and there are things about Soul Eater that I just don't care for. But overall, I would probably give it like a 9 out of 10 for a series. But I would definitely put like in my honorable mentions. It's definitely my top 10. For my actual top three, I probably put like Hunter x Hunter. Like I love Hunter x Hunter so much. It's so much fun to read, and every time I see like a new chapter come out, I just go right to it. I just immediately read it because I'm always excited to see what happens next. Because Tagashi, like he's such a good writer, and I think that you can even see that in his older series. Um, and I feel like it really shows in Hunter x Hunter. There is only one part of Hunter x Hunter that I don't like, and even when I say I don't like it, I just mean it's not as good as the rest of it, and that's Greed Island. I think Greed Island is good for what it is. It is a fun arc that's set between two really big arcs, which is York New, which is where all of these covers come from, and the Chimera Ant arc. But I feel like Greed Island just kind of doesn't hold up that well. It's fun for what it is. It's a nice like a little training arc, and it has like a couple good fights. But that's really all it is. If it if Greed Island were better, I might actually put it a little bit higher. But Hunter x Hunter is just one of the series I just constantly reread because it's just so much fun to read. And I feel like every time I read it, I find like a little detail. I'm like, oh, that's cool. It's just such so much fun. Next up is a series I hold really dear to my heart, and I know the series isn't for everyone, but it's got to be JoJo's. I understand why people don't like JoJo's because it like by nature is very bizarre. It's just not for everyone. Like if part one does not appeal to you, I completely understand. I don't agree with the whole thing like, oh, you need to skip part one and just watch part two, or skip all the parts, even then just go right to Steel Ball Run. I don't like that. I'm not a fan of that. I mean, granted, watch the show however you like, but at the same time, I'm like, you're missing out on so much if you're skipping parts. Like you're that's like skipping entire seasons of a show and then expecting know what's going on. And granted, it's a little bit different with Steel Ball Run because there's a whole thing that makes it like sort of separate from like the first six parts, which I don't want to talk about too much here and spoil in case anyone hasn't really watched JoJo or read it. But JoJo is one of those series where it's so much fun to reread because it feels like every single fight in the series is completely different. Like it feels like it's constantly evolving throughout each part. Like you can with the way Araki writes his fights and his characters, you can see like a gradual progression in his storytelling, where you can see him slowly getting better and better. Like it's very obvious, like from like part one to part two. Part two is like a very major step up from part one. Part one's good. It is good. I honestly do like it, but I understand why people don't like it. It can get a little boring at times. Me personally, I like it, but part two is like just like a massive step above part one, and then part three is where it really just starts like just taking off like a rocket. Like it's crazy. Like the introduction of stands, Hamon is great, or Ripple or whatever. I was gonna call it Hamon for this video, but Hamon is great. It's a really fun concept. It's a really fun power system, but you can kind of tell Rocky is like, I don't really know where to take this. So he just invents an entirely new power system in a series that already has a power system, and it's better than the original one. At least I think it's better. I like stands a lot more than Hamon because it makes the fights feel much different from like a 5x5 basis than Hamon did. Part four is my favorite part of JoJo just because of how different the stands are in that part compared to like part three. Part three is very simple in its stand designs. Like, oh, Abdal has the fire stands. Um, Joseph has the Indiana Jones stand. Like, it's very simple with its ideas. Dio has the stand that stops time. Very powerful, but it's kind of basic. It just stops time. I mean, like with stands like with Kira, like he has multiple abilities. Like like he can like blow stuff up. He can like set like little time bombs. He can go back in time, like reset stuff. Like you can. There's like a clear progression of like abilities and how they're used, and just how much he can get. Like just how much distance he can go with this, like with the stand ability system over like the Hamon system and the vampires. I will say one thing I don't like about part three. Um, I honestly do plan on making a video about all of the parts, like individually at some point, and just like reviewing them because I do find it fun to do like a little retrospective. But one thing I don't like about part three is Hamon is still present in part three. It's really unpresent with Joseph, and it's because he's the only character that really knows in that part. And I feel like Dio doesn't use his vampire powers enough in part three, despite having them. Like I get that people say, oh well, he just doesn't really have a need to use them because he has the world, and the world is more powerful than his vampire abilities. I'm like, why doesn't he just use both? Like the only vampire ability he uses is just his immortality and his like sort of regeneration-ish thing. But I feel like if he were to use like his stand abilities and his like vampire powers, he probably would have won that fight against Jotaro. Like there's a scene like where he's like hesitant and getting close to Jotaro, and he's like, "Oh, I'm going to chop off his head, but I don't want to get too close to him." He should just use the little lasers that he does out of his eyes in part one at him. I don't know. I always thought, I was like, why does he get so close and like he's almost like provoking Jotaro to come back to life. He's like, "Oh yeah, I knew you were alive." I don't know. I just wish like we got to see more of his vampire powers in part three. But yeah, I would definitely put JoJo in my my second place, my favorite manga. For my favorite manga, it's one I talk about a lot, and it's one that's been staring me in the face. I have a whole mouse pad of it because I like it so much. Is Dorohedoro. I adore Dorohedoro so much. It's so much fun to read. I reread it so many times. The same thing with all of these series. I reread the same manga several times just because of how much I like them. And these three, I just reread so much. It's so much fun to go through them and just like, oh yeah, the art looks great there. I love this panel. I love this story beat. I love this character. It never gets boring to me, honestly, because I enjoy the stories. It's the same way I would rewatch like an anime if I liked it. But the difference is I go through a manga a lot faster than I go through anime, just because you're constricted how like long the anime episodes are with like the 22 like 4-minute formats. If you don't know what Dorohedoro is, I understand it's a little bit more niche compared to like the other two series I just showed with Hunter x Hunter and JoJo. It's very gory, it's very gritty, it's very just dirty in general. It has a Netflix series, which is actually pretty good. The second season just came out of that, and I do recommend watching the anime if you are interested in Dorohedoro, because it's pretty faithful from what I've seen of it. I haven't watched too much of season 2 yet. I think they do cut out like a handful of things, like smaller scenes and stuff, but like this is such a good manga. I love it so much. Eventually I want to make a whole video talking about Dorohedoro. I'm just going like really in depth on it, but I don't want to do that right now because, to be fair, my videos kind of suck. I want to get better at making videos, and if I like a topic enough, I want it to be like a video like where I can just like dive deep into it and I just go like really in depth on it. And I feel like I'm not ready to do that yet with Dorohedoro, so I'm just gonna kind of leave it here for now. But I feel like all three of these manga really just like they really hold what I said earlier, like the 4 things that you need in a manga for me to consider it to be my favorite or like be my top three. It has to have good characters, good art, good story, and has to have that rereadability. I'm sorry. Like I love rereading manga, and sometimes I'll go back on a series and I'll be like, this isn't as good as I remember it being. And it happens. It's the same thing like with like video games. Like I have video games I hold dear from my childhood, and I go back to replay. I'm like, oh, this sucks ass. Oh, like that happened to me recently with Gears of War. I played like Gears of War when I was a kid, and I went back to replay it recently. I was like, oh, I fucking hate this. This sucks. Granted, I think I have been poisoned a little bit just because of all the third-person cover-based shooters in recent years. I think it has made me dislike Gears of War a bit more. The story's still great, but like I go back and actually play the game, I'm like, oh, it sucks. Why did I like this? But I don't get these with this manga though. Like with this manga, I'm like, yes, this is as fun rereading it like the 17th time as I had reading it the first time. Granted, it was a lot more fun reading it the first time because I don't know what's going to happen. But yeah, these are my favorite manga, my top three. I have not read Steel Ball Run yet. I plan on doing it soon, I swear. I've only read parts 1 through 6, and I've watched the anime parts 1 through 6. I just haven't had time to actually go back and read part 7 yet, just because I had a lot of stuff going on recently. I honestly think I might do it sometime this month or maybe next month. The issue like right now is I don't want to jump into it too soon because I don't think it's actually fully translated yet. I don't mind reading a fan translation, honestly, but I'd rather read the whole thing officially. Great, I've heard the official releases have had really bad translation quality. I don't know what's up with that. But that's just what I heard. I heard they weren't that great with the physical releases, and they had to like re-release them. But yeah, I do plan on reading all of it eventually. Hunter x Hunter, same deal. I keep up with that on a chapter basis. Granted, there's a very long time between chapters, which sucks, but it is what it is. I do think it's one of those series that is definitely worth getting into, despite the hiatus. JoJo, same thing. Chapters can be slow coming out sometimes, just because of how large the series is, and it takes like a long time to get through the whole series. I do recommend it highly. If you have not read JoJo, definitely do it. It's if you like stuff like Fist of the North Star or Baki, it's very similar. And Dorohedoro is like one of those series that I can't recommend to everyone, honestly. It is definitely one of those series that is not for everyone. It just isn't. And that's okay. It is what it is. But if you're interested in like a really good seinen manga, I do recommend Dorohedoro. It's a fantastic read and it's definitely worth your time. All right. Let me know what is your guys' favorite top 3 anime or top 3 manga. I hope you guys have a good night.